Welcome back, everyone. Thank you for joining us here at CJTV, podcast episode number 12. And today we're going to go ahead and explore the Gospel of John, chapter 9. And you'll notice in this particular chapter, and if you're new with us, thanks for joining. We explore the Bible on a regular basis during the weekdays. We're going through the Gospel of John this time. And so you'll have the opportunity to join us on a regular basis. We have new episodes posted every weekday at noon. So thanks so much for joining us. You'll notice today that John is going to explore Jesus giving sight to the blind. And if you recall, Luke has an account of this, right? If you recall, John the Baptist once sent a message to Jesus. And he sent it through his disciples, asking Jesus specifically, what are you the one who is to come? Are you the one in which we've been waiting for? Are you the Messiah? Are you the object of our faith? Are you the one we've been waiting for? And what does Jesus say? Remember what Jesus says? He says, go back and tell John. Go back and tell him the evidence of what you see. The evidence is blind people are seeing again. Lame people are walking again. Those with all kinds of diseases are being made clean. Dead people are being raised back to life. Poor people are hearing the good news. He even responds, whoever doesn't lose their faith in me is indeed blessed. That's essentially what Jesus is looking to do here. He's essentially looking to create oneness between us and our broken relationship with the Father. He's going to become the doorway in order to make that happen. For he always says in John, the Father and I are one. I'm going to make a doorway into heaven. And those that place their faith in me will never be disappointed. Those who place their faith in me, Jesus wishes for us to have that oneness with him, that oneness with the Father. So let's dive into chapter 9 of John, and let's explore this opportunity that Jesus gives us to view and witness healing, miraculous healing that comes through him. John chapter 9. As Jesus was walking along, he saw a man who had been blind from birth. You're going to notice that Jesus is opposed by ignorance and blindness all throughout this chapter. Rabbi, his disciples asked him, why was this man born blind? Was it because of his own sins or his parents' sins? It was not because of his sins or his parents' sins, Jesus says. Jesus answered, this happened so the power of God could be seen in him. We must quickly carry out the tasks assigned us by the one who sent us. The night is coming, and that is when no one can work. But while I am here in the world, I am the light of the world. Then he spit on the ground. He made mud with the saliva and spread the mud over the blind man's eyes. He told him, go wash yourself in the pool of Siloam, which means sent. So the man went and washed and came back seeing. His neighbors and others who knew him as a blind beggar asked each other, isn't this the man who used to sit and beg? Some said he was, and others said, no, he just looks like him. But the beggar kept saying, yes, I am the same one. They asked, who healed you? What happened? He told them, the man that called himself Jesus made mud and spread it over my eyes and told me, go to the pool of Siloam and wash yourself. So I went and I washed, and now I can see. Where is he now? They asked. I don't know, he replied. And then they took the man who had been blind to the Pharisees, because it was on the Sabbath that Jesus had made the mud and healed him. The Pharisees asked the man all about it, so he told them. He put the mud over my eyes, and when I washed it away, I could see. Some of the Pharisees said, "This man Jesus is not from God. He is working on the Sabbath." Others said, "But how could an ordinary sinner do such miraculous signs?" So there was a deep division of opinion among them. And then the Pharisees again questioned the man who had been blind and demanded, "What's your opinion about this man who healed you?" The man replied, "I think he must be a prophet." The Jewish leaders still refused to believe the man had been blind and could now see. So they called in his parents and they asked them, "Is this your son?" They asked him, Was he born blind? And if so, how could he see?" His parents replied, "We know this is our son, and we know that he was born blind, but we don't know how he can see or who healed him. Ask him. He is old enough to speak for himself." His parents said this because they were afraid of the Jewish leaders, who had announced that anyone saying Jesus was the Messiah would be expelled from the synagogue. That's why they said, "He is old enough. Ask him." So for the second time, they called in the man who had been born blind and told him, "God should get the glory for this, because we know this man is a sinner." "I don't know whether he is a sinner," the man replied, "but I do know this. I was blind, but now I can see." "But what did he do?" they asked. "How did he heal you?" "Look," the man exclaimed, "I told you once. Didn't you listen? Why do you want to hear it again? Do you want to become his disciples too?" Then they cursed him and said, "You are his disciple, but we are disciples of Moses. We know God spoke to Moses, but we don't even know where this man comes from." "Why, that's very strange," the man replied. "He healed my eyes, and yet you don't know where he comes from. We know that God doesn't listen to sinners, but he is ready to hear those who worship him and do his will. Ever since the world began, no one has been able to open the eyes of someone born blind. If this man were not from God, he couldn't have done it." "You were born a total sinner," they answered. "Are you trying to teach us?" And they threw him out of the synagogue. When Jesus heard what had happened, he found the man and asked, "Do you believe in the Son of Man?" The man answered, "Who is he, sir? I want to believe in him." "You have seen him," Jesus said, "and he is speaking to you." "Yes, Lord, I believe," the man said, and he worshipped Jesus. Then Jesus told him, "I entered this world to render judgment, to give sight to the blind, and to show those who think they see that they are blind." Some Pharisees who were standing nearby him heard him and asked, "Are you saying we are blind?" "If you were blind," Jesus said, "you wouldn't be guilty. But you remain guilty because you claim you can see." Many think they can see, but they know the Bible just theoretically or through the knowledge of reading without really truly understanding. Jesus is the object of our faith. Jesus is our salvation. Jesus is the only way, the only truth, and the only life to enter into salvation. Not of works, lest anyone boast. God bless you, folks. We'll see you next time at CJTV. I'm your host, GB.